Kale stepped off the shuttle onto the space station's landing platform, the hum of engines and the faint scent of ozone greeting him. This was his first visit to the station orbiting Iridian 7, a planet scarred by war but rich in resources that both humans and aliens coveted. Kale adjusted the strap of his satchel and took a deep breath. His mission was simple on paper: negotiate a new trade agreement between the human coalition and the local alien factions. In reality, it was anything but simple. The station was alive with activity. Alien merchants of all shapes and sizes hustled through narrow corridors, their voices mixing in a strange but rhythmic melody. Humans moved cautiously, aware that some species here saw them as fragile or even expendable. Kale's human instincts told him to stay alert. He was young, inexperienced in these delicate negotiations, but he had a reputation for quick thinking and careful observation. As he walked toward the administrative sector, he noticed a gathering near the central atrium. People were staring, whispering, and then he saw her. Lyra. She stood at the center of the crowd, her presence magnetic. Her skin shimmered with a soft, pearlescent glow, a trait unique to her species. Her eyes were deep violet, almost hypnotic, and her hair flowed like liquid silver. Even from a distance, she exuded a grace that commanded attention. Kale had heard rumors of her. The beautiful alien widow, they called her. Her mate had died during the recent conflict between rival alien houses, leaving her alone and powerful. Many admired her, some feared her, and almost everyone was curious about her. Kale felt a strange pull toward her, a mix of professional interest and personal fascination. Lyra's attendants moved around her like shadows, maintaining a respectful distance while subtly shielding her from the crowd. She smiled faintly, acknowledging the onlookers, but her gaze was distant, almost melancholic. Kale noted the subtle tension in her posture, the way she clutched the edge of her cloak as if holding onto something unseen. He approached cautiously. "I'm Kale," he said when he was close enough. "I'm here as part of the human delegation." Lyra turned her head, and for a brief moment her eyes locked with his. There was a flicker of curiosity there, but it vanished as quickly as it appeared. "I know who you are," she said, her voice smooth and melodic. "Humans are always curious, always watching. I wonder what brings you here beyond diplomacy." Kale hesitated, unsure how much to reveal. "I want to understand," he said finally. "Understand your people, your culture, and perhaps understand you." Lyra's lips curved into a faint smile, though her eyes remained guarded. "Understanding is dangerous," she said softly, "especially when it comes to me." Before he could respond, an attendant signaled for her to move, and she drifted away gracefully, leaving Kale with a sense of intrigue he could not shake. The rest of the evening passed in a blur of formalities and negotiations, but Kale's thoughts kept returning to her. Who was Lyra really? What secrets did she hide behind that calm, mesmerizing exterior? That night, Kale could not sleep. His quarters overlooked the station's observation deck, where lights from distant ships shimmered against the black void of space. He tried to focus on his reports, on the notes he had taken during the day, but his mind wandered back to Lyra. There had been something unusual in the way she moved, in the way her attendants behaved. He remembered the whispered rumors he had overheard in the corridors, rumors of a secret, something powerful hidden within her quarters. Curiosity gnawed at him. Kale was not the type to ignore such things. He waited until the station's routine quieted, until most of the inhabitants had retired to their quarters, and then he slipped out. His destination was not the council chambers or the trading floor. It was the observation deck where he had seen her earlier, and perhaps the edge of her secret. The deck was bathed in dim light. Holographic displays showed charts of nearby planets, energy readings, and security patterns. Kale moved silently, his boots making almost no sound on the polished floor. He glanced around, half expecting to see one of her attendants appear. The station felt different at night, calmer, yet filled with shadows that seemed to whisper secrets. Then he saw it. A faint glow coming from one of the upper corridors, behind a door marked with symbols he did not recognize. The symbols pulsed softly, almost alive. Cale approached, careful not to touch anything that might trigger an alarm. He pressed his ear to the door and heard a low hum, like energy flowing through metal and crystal. There was movement inside, something delicate, almost ritualistic. Cale's heart raced. He knew he was about to witness something extraordinary. Slowly, cautiously, he peered around the edge of the door. Lyra stood in the center of a circular platform. Around her floated small shards of crystal, spinning slowly in the air. In her hands she held a device that pulsed with a gentle blue light. She closed her eyes, and for a moment her face softened. A whisper seemed to echo through the room, faint but clear, as if she were speaking to someone unseen. Cale's mind struggled to comprehend what he saw. He had expected wealth, influence, beauty, but this was something beyond explanation. He watched as her eyes fluttered open, revealing a depth of emotion he could not name. She moved with precision, her gestures almost like a dance, guiding the floating shards to form a complex pattern in the air. Energy crackled between them, illuminating her figure like starlight. Then, suddenly, she paused. Cale realized she was aware of his presence. Her gaze snapped to him, and for a moment the world seemed to shrink to the distance between them. Fear, curiosity, and something else, something human, flickered across her features. "You shouldn't be here," she said, her voice calm but firm. Cale swallowed hard. I didn't mean to intrude," he said. "I was curious. I wanted to understand." Lyra studied him for a long moment, then sighed. "Curiosity is a dangerous companion," she said, "especially when it comes to secrets that could change lives, even entire worlds." Cale stepped forward slightly. "I won't tell anyone, I just want to understand, maybe even help if I can." For the first time, Lyra's lips curved into a faint smile that did not reach her eyes. "Help?" she asked. "Perhaps, but understanding, that is harder." "Harder than you think, human. There are things I have kept hidden because the knowledge itself is too powerful for most to bear." Cale nodded, though he did not fully understand. Something about her presence demanded respect, demanded patience. He realized this was more than diplomacy. This was the beginning of a journey, one that would test him in ways he could not yet imagine. "Come back tomorrow," she said finally. "If you truly wish to see the world as I see it, you must be willing to wait and to learn." Cale felt a spark of hope. He had glimpsed the edge of her secret, enough to know that she was not just a widow, not just a figure of sorrow and beauty. She was something more, something extraordinary, and he wanted to be part of the story she was about to unfold. As he returned to his quarters, the hum of the station around him, Cale felt a thrill he had never known. Curiosity had led him here, yes, but something else had drawn him, something human: courage, determination. The desire to reach beyond what was expected, to touch the edge of the unknown. And he knew, deep in his heart, that this night, this moment, was only the beginning. Outside his window, the stars of Aridian 7 shimmered, silent witnesses to the secrets of a beautiful alien widow and the human who had dared to see them. The next day, Cale could hardly focus on his official duties. Every negotiation, every discussion with alien delegates felt like background noise compared to the memory of what he had witnessed the night before. Lyra's ritual, the floating crystals, the strange energy that seemed alive, it haunted his thoughts. He had glimpsed only the edge of her secret, yet it was enough to make him understand that there was far more to her than anyone could imagine. When Cale returned to the observation deck, he found Lyra waiting, her figure framed by the soft glow of the station's artificial night. She did not speak immediately. Instead, she gestured for him to follow. Cale obeyed, careful not to startle her. The platform where she had performed her ritual the night before was now empty, but the lingering hum of energy reminded him that this place held mysteries he did not yet understand. You wish to see more, Lyra said finally. Her voice was calm, almost musical, but there was an edge of caution in it. You have curiosity, human, but do you have patience? Do you have courage? Kale nodded. I want to understand, I want to learn, and I want to help if I can. Lyra studied him for a long moment. Then she raised a hand and a small crystal floated from a hidden compartment. It hovered between them, glowing softly. What you saw last night was only the beginning. This crystal carries a fragment of my mate's essence. Through it, I can access his memories, his knowledge. But it is dangerous for both of us, Kale's breath caught. You mean you can communicate with him? Yes, she said. Not physically, not fully, but his consciousness lingers here within the crystal. I can draw on his wisdom, his experience. Only a few of our kind can do this, and only a widow, bound by love and grief, can maintain the link without losing herself. Kale struggled to comprehend. The ability to merge consciousness with another being, even a deceased one, was beyond anything he had ever imagined. And yet, as he looked at her, he believed her. There was an intensity in her eyes, a depth that spoke of both sorrow and power. Why show me this? He asked. Why trust me? Lyra's gaze softened slightly. Because you have courage, because you are human. You're kind, you face the unknown without surrendering to fear. You take risks, and sometimes that is what is needed to protect knowledge, to protect life. If you are to help me, you must understand, not just believe. Kale felt a shiver run down his spine. He had entered this mission thinking it would be about diplomacy, about negotiations and treaties. Now he realized it was something much greater. He was standing at the threshold of secrets that could change not only the station, but the balance of power in the galaxy. Lyra motioned for him to step closer. Watch carefully, she said. She touched the crystal lightly, and immediately the energy around it intensified. The shards of light spun faster, forming shapes that resembled her mate. Kale could hear faint whispers, not words, but impressions, feelings, memories, fragments of a life that had been. He felt dizzy as images flashed through his mind. Battles fought, alliances formed, moments of love, moments of loss. It is not simple, Lyra warned. It is not safe. To touch his essence is to risk your own mind. You must remain grounded, human. Observe, do not absorb. Kale focused with all his will, keeping his thoughts separate from the torrent of alien memories. He saw her mate, strong and noble, a leader who had fought to protect his people. He saw the moments that had led to his death, and the grief that had shaped Lyra into the widow she was now. And yet, despite the danger, Kale felt a growing respect, not just for her, but for the human ability to face the unknown without fear. Hours passed, though it felt like minutes. When Lyra finally released the crystal, the energy faded and the shards collapsed into her hands. She looked exhausted, but her eyes held a rare softness. You see now, she said, this is why I am cautious. This knowledge, this power can be a gift or a curse. It depends on who wields it and how. Kale nodded, still trying to catch his breath. I understand. More than I can say, but I want to help you protect it. Her gaze lingered on him. For a moment she seemed to weigh something invisible, and then she nodded. Perhaps you can, but there are others who would take this from me, others who would use it for their own gain. Kale felt a surge of determination. Then we'll stop them together. Lyra's lips curved into the faintest smile. Together, she echoed. The next days were tense. Kale continued his diplomatic duties, but he also kept a careful watch on the station. He noticed unusual movements among the alien factions, shadowy figures, whispered conversations, eyes that lingered too long. Someone was aware of Lyra's secret, and they were preparing to act. One evening, Kale returned to her quarters and found Lyra studying star charts. Her posture was rigid, her focus intense. There is a pattern, she said without looking up. A faction from the outer sectors is moving toward Iridian 7. They have learned of the crystal and they intend to take it. Kale frowned. Then we need a plan. We can't let them succeed. Lyra finally looked at him, her eyes reflecting both fear and resolve. It will not be easy. They are clever, ruthless, but your kind has one advantage: ingenuity. Humans think differently. They improvise, they adapt. Kale felt a sense of pride. He had never thought of humans as extraordinary, not in the way she meant. But in this moment he understood. His creativity, his willingness to face the unknown, could tip the balance in ways Lyra's people could not. That night the danger arrived. Kale was in the observation deck when alarms blared across the station. Red lights flashed, and the hum of security systems escalated into a deafening roar. Lyra's quarters were under attack. Shadowy figures, cloaked in stealth technology, were attempting to breach her defenses. Kale's mind raced. He remembered the station layout, the weak points in the attacker's approach, the energy grids he could manipulate. Acting on instinct, he rerouted power to the observation deck's turrets, redirecting beams to cut off the intruder's path. He moved swiftly, using handholds and panels to navigate the station's corridors faster than the attackers expected. When he reached Lyra, she was already preparing the crystal. The floating shards formed a protective barrier, but it was clear she could not hold them indefinitely. "Kale," she shouted, "you must help me stabilize it." Kale's hands moved over the control panels, his mind racing to calculate the adjustments needed. He could feel the energy pulsing through the room, threatening to overwhelm them both. But he focused, drawing on his human ingenuity, improvising in ways that no protocol could predict. Slowly the crystal's energy stabilized, the barrier solidified, and the attackers were forced to retreat, unable to breach the defenses. Breathing heavily, Kale looked at Lyra. She was glowing faintly from the strain, but her eyes held admiration. You did it," she whispered. "You were fearless, your kind, truly remarkable." Kale smiled, though he was still catching his breath. "I just did what I could. You did the hard part." Lyra shook her head. "No, together we succeeded. You see now why I am careful who I trust." "You have earned that trust." For the first time, Kale felt a deep connection to someone truly extraordinary. Not just because of her beauty or her power or the secrets she held, but because of the bond they had forged in the face of danger. He realized that humans, in their determination and ingenuity, could rise to challenges that seemed impossible, even to the most advanced alien species. As the station returned to quiet, Kale and Lyra stood side by side, looking out at the stars. The danger had passed for now, but the threat was far from over. Yet Kale felt ready. He had seen the strength of the human spirit, curiosity, courage, adaptability, and he knew that together they could face whatever came next. Lyra's hand brushed against the crystal and the faint glow returned. "The secret remains," she said softly, "but now it is safe, for a while, and I believe you will help keep it so." Kale nodded, a sense of purpose settling over him. He had entered the station as a diplomat, seeking understanding. Now he was part of something greater, a guardian of a secret that could change worlds, standing alongside a being both tragic and extraordinary. The stars outside shimmered like silent witnesses, and Kale knew that this was only the beginning. He had seen the secret, he had faced the danger, and he had proven that even a human could rise to meet the extraordinary. And in that realization he found not fear, but hope, courage, and an unshakable determination to face whatever night awaited them next. The station was quiet now, but Kale knew it was a fragile calm. The attack on Lyra's quarters had been a warning. Whoever had tried to steal the crystal would not stop, and they would come stronger next time. Kale's mind raced as he reviewed every detail he could remember from the previous encounter. He had learned that human intuition, improvisation, and courage could counter alien technology, but this challenge would require more than instinct. Lyra entered the observation deck quietly, her presence calm but alert. She was visibly tired from maintaining the crystal's energy the night before, but her eyes were sharp, determined. "They will come again," she said, "sooner than we expect. This time they will be prepared. We must be ready as well, Kale nodded. Then we'll prepare. We can't just defend, we need a plan that uses their own tactics against them. Lyra studied him for a moment as if weighing his words. Then she smiled faintly. You think like a human, quick, adaptable. That may be the advantage we need. Over the next hours, they worked together. Kale mapped the station's hidden passages, emergency systems, and energy grids, finding ways to turn them into defensive measures. Lyra adjusted the crystal's energy patterns, forming layers of protection that could react automatically to intrusion attempts. They tested simulations, observed energy flows, and devised traps for anyone who tried to breach the station. By nightfall, the station was transformed into a maze of surprises. Kale had positioned automated defenses, rerouted power to critical points, and even created a decoy route to mislead intruders. Lyra's crystal glowed softly at the center of the observation deck, surrounded by protective shards that seemed to float like sentinels. For the first time, Kale felt a measure of confidence. He trusted not only the defenses but also their combined efforts. The first sign of trouble came as a subtle vibration in the station's hull. Kale sensed it immediately, the stealth ships approaching from the outer sector. Lyra's eyes narrowed. They are faster than I anticipated, she said. We must act now. The attackers arrived in silence, sleek ships gliding through the station's outer corridors. They deployed small drones to infiltrate the station and locate the crystal. Kale moved quickly, activating his pre-planned traps. Energy barriers blocked corridors, automated turrets engaged, and false signals led the intruders into dead ends. Lyra's crystal shone brighter, projecting a protective dome around the observation deck. Within it, the floating shards shifted and aligned, ready to react to any attempt at theft. Kale realized that their combined efforts, human strategy and alien power, were working in perfect harmony, but the attackers were clever. They adapted, using cloaking technology to bypass some defenses. Kale's mind raced. He had to anticipate their next move. He remembered the station's emergency lights, normally used to signal malfunctions. He rerouted power to flash them in a sequence that disrupted the drone's sensors, causing them to collide with walls and each other. One by one, the intruders faltered. Lyra touched the crystal, drawing energy from her mate's essence. The floating shards shifted into a spinning lattice, forming a temporary cage that could trap anyone inside. Kale watched in awe as the combination of alien power and human ingenuity created a defense that seemed impossible. A sudden alarm indicated that the attackers had managed to breach the outer hull near the docking bay. Kale didn't hesitate. He grabbed a handheld control unit and activated the station's secondary defense mechanisms. Magnetic locks engaged, sealing sections of the station, while energy pulses rerouted the intruders' ships away from the main corridors. Lyra joined him, her presence steadying him as they coordinated their efforts. The intruders realized they were outmatched, but they were determined. A cloaked figure appeared near the observation deck, moving with precision and intent. Kale and Lyra braced themselves. The figure struck, attempting to destabilize the crystal. Kale reacted immediately, using a nearby control panel to redirect energy flows, creating a barrier that intercepted the attack. Lyra reinforced the crystal's lattice, amplifying the energy to hold the intruder at bay. The struggle was intense. The intruder was skilled, but Kale's quick thinking and Lyra's power created a synergy that the attackers could not match. They were forced back, retreating through corridors and eventually leaving the station. Alarms blared as the final drones were deactivated and the station returned to quiet once more. Kale slumped against the railing, exhausted but exhilarated. "We did it," he said, disbelief and pride mingling in his voice. "We really did it." Lyra approached, her expression softer now. "Yes," she said, "but it was not just my power. It was your courage, your quick thinking, your humanity. That is what made the difference. Kale felt a warmth he had not expected. To hear such praise from someone as extraordinary as Lyra was both humbling and empowering. I just did what I could, he said. You taught me, guided me. Together we protected something important. Lyra nodded. And that is why I trust you. Not everyone could have faced this danger and remained steady. You see beyond fear. You see opportunity, potential. That is the essence of your kind, Kale. That is why humans matter in this galaxy. Kale realized then that he had learned more than he had expected. The human spirit, curiosity, courage, adaptability, was not just survival. It could influence events, protect secrets, and even help a widow hold onto her mate's essence in a way that no other species could. Days passed, and the station gradually returned to routine. Kale continued his diplomatic work, but now with a renewed purpose. He was no longer just a visitor or negotiator. He was a guardian, an ally, and a partner to someone whose secrets could shape the future. Lyra, too, seemed lighter, though still vigilant. She allowed Kale into her life in ways she had never done before, sharing knowledge, showing him hidden corners of the station, and teaching him the subtleties of her people's culture. One evening, as they stood together on the observation deck, watching ships drift past the station, Kale spoke quietly. "Do you think they will come again?" Lyra touched the crystal lightly, causing it to pulse with a gentle glow. "Perhaps, but now we are ready. We know each other, we know our strengths, and together, we are stronger than they expect." Kale felt a surge of confidence. He had seen the secret, faced the danger, and discovered the power of collaboration between species. He understood now that humans, though fragile in appearance, could achieve extraordinary things when guided by courage, curiosity, and determination. Lyra's gaze met his, and for the first time Kale sensed a true connection, not just admiration but trust, respect, and understanding. "Thank you," she said softly, "for being here, for seeing the truth, for standing with me." Kale smiled. "I should be thanking you. You showed me what is possible, what humans can achieve when we dare to act, to think, to face the unknown. You've changed me." The stars outside shimmered, silent witnesses to the bond that had formed, the danger that had been overcome, and the promise of adventures yet to come. The crystal remained secure, Lyra's secret intact, and Kale had proven that the human spirit, ingenious, brave, and resilient, could triumph even in the face of extraordinary power. As they turned from the observation deck, Kale knew this was only the beginning. Together, they would face whatever challenges the galaxy could send. The beautiful alien widow's secret had been revealed, at least in part, and the human who had seen it had risen to the occasion, proving that courage, intelligence, and determination could bridge worlds, protect the extraordinary, and shape the future. And in that knowledge, Kale felt an unshakable certainty. Humans could not only survive among the stars, they could make a difference.